Whoa, hang on, wait a minute. I know, you just got that yarn and you're really excited to cast it on your needles, but you might just want to cake it up first. Keep watching if you want to learn how to cake up your yarn with some household objects. Hi, I'm Sarah YM, and in this video I'm going to show you how to cake up your yarn. But first, let's talk about how your yarn comes, the benefits of a center pole, and just what caking up your yarn is. No, you can't eat it, although some of the yarn I've recently caked up kind of looks like fluffy cotton candy, but you can eat it. Okay, I think a good place to start on this topic is talking about how yarn comes. In most big box stores or big box brands, your yarn is going to come in skeins. You're going to have two kinds of skeins generally. You have a skein that already has a center pole, kind of like this Karen Simply Soft yarn I'm using. I don't have to cake this one up. It comes with a center pole that I can easily find, and I use that. Yeah, sometimes I get some yarn barf, but it's manageable and it's fine. I don't worry about caking this yarn up. The other way that it can come is in a bullet skein. As you can see, it's a little bit shorter, and it's kind of hard to find the center pole. You would think this is it, but it's not. Actually, that's just yarn splitting. It's kind of hard to find the center pole because it probably doesn't have it. You can knit from the bullet like this, but it can get a bit irritating. So I do cake this up, or I tend to cake this up as well. Another way that, some of your bigger brands may come is in like a donut. I find that the donuts are often reserved for like the fluffier yarns, kind of like this mohair silk blend that I have and I'm showing you right now. This I cake up as well. You could probably knit from it like this, but caking it up with a nice center pole, the yarn isn't spinning around. I have a cat. Hi, Mila. Let's come on down. Okay. So I like to keep my yarn kind of separate. Otherwise, I get cat fur mixed in with it. It's not the greatest. It's not the nicest. So these are a few benefits of caking it up. Another way that a lot of your yarn is going to come is in a hank. This is often how, when you go to smaller hand dyers, your yarn is going to come, and that's because of the process of dyeing yarn. So your hank will come either folded or twisted, but nonetheless, you will need to cake this up as well in order to knit with it. You can't really knit with it from the hank directly, or if you do, you may be very, very frustrated. There are a couple other ways that yarn or materials that you're knitting and crocheting with can come, such as a cone or a hardcore ball, but we're not really going to dive into those today. So let's get into supplies. For me, I tend to use this wooden dowel for most of the yarn I cake up. Alternately, I have this spurtle. Let me know if you know what a spurtle is. It's for porridge, but essentially it's the same thing. It's a round tube. And then if you have neither of those things lying around, you can use a toilet paper roll or a paper towel roll, and you'll just want to put a slit in it. The only thing with this one is your center is going to be a little bigger, obviously. Lastly, you need yarn, of course. This is the star of the show. We can't do anything without it. So let's get into turning this into this. Okay, so let's talk about caking up our yarn. If you're using something solid, like a solid cylinder, like this dowel or the spurtle, then you're going to start with a slip knot. So you're going to want to put a slip knot in your yarn. Put it over the dowel or whatever you're using. I like to kind of keep it up near the end. And I kind of hold the knot. I'm just going to wrap the yarn around. a few times in the center. There we go. Then on an angle from the bottom up, you're going to wrap around and around. And as you do this, you're going to rotate. And you're going to keep going. Around and around and around in this manner. It does not need to be perfect. Another thing I like to do is kind of, you don't have to as well, but I like to squish it up. And I like to just kind of keep an eye and be mindful, because in theory, you want to try and keep this side, because your tail's out this end, this side nice and flat. So when you're done, you can set your cake down on a table or whatever you're working on. But essentially, this is all you do. You want to keep in mind, though, that you don't want to pull too tight like this. You want to keep a nice, gentle tension, because you don't want to stretch your yarn or affect the tension of the yarn. That's one of the reasons we're caking up, is we don't like it when it pulls our yarn all funny, because it can affect our garment. So yeah, you're just going to keep doing this till you're done. Alternately, if you're using a paper towel or a toilet paper roll with a slit, what you can do is, where is it? Is literally take your yarn, tuck it in, so it's kind of held in there. Same thing, you're going to wrap it around a few times. Get a nice base, and then you're going to start the same process on the angles. So I'm at the bottom, pull it up, bottom, pull it up. And as you do it, you're slightly rotating around. And being mindful not to pull. See, I don't want to tug, so I want to loosen up the yarn first. You don't want to pull your tension. Nice, gentle, calm winding of the yarn. And just keep going. Okay, we are at the end of wrapping. So the last few rounds, I tend to wrap horizontally around like this. And then the end, I tuck in. So sometimes, just be careful you're not splitting a roll, but sometimes I actually take a crochet hook and I will just gently, carefully tuck that end in. There we go. Tuck it in, and ooh. Ta-da! There's our little cake. There's our center pole. It's done. I'm done my little cakes. As you can see, this center is a little bit larger than this one, just because I used the paper towel roll versus the wooden dowel, but essentially it's the same thing. It's just the way it looks. It doesn't change its function. I'm excited because this is a new project, this is a new project, this is a current whip, and this means I'm ready to roll. I love this. It helps make my knitting and crocheting more enjoyable than it already is. I'm not stressing about the pulling of the yarn or getting frustrated. I hope you enjoyed this video, learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you next time.